Welcome viewers to Historical Journeys. Explorers have wasted many lives and fortunes finding lost developments. Furthermore, regardless of each and every phony and disappointment, the uncommon triumphs make every one of the dangers beneficial. That was absolutely the situation for these dazzling South American remnants since their cutting-edge rediscovery won thousands of guests have taken in the stone monuments and amazing vistas. However, the community's spooky past is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. What does the future hold for this peak desert garden? Abnormal antique recuperated at Machu Picchu uncovered perhaps of history's most obscure practice. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It only takes a second, and you won't miss any of our future videos. Let's get started. Consistently, a huge number of sightseers from everywhere, the world rushed to the Peruvian Andes to endure a few days navigating the rough landscape. Despite the fact that it's not the best getaway for a great many people, it's certainly worth the climb. Toward the finish of the mountain range, voyagers arrived at the notable horizon of Machu Picchu. This dazzling village is presumably the most gorgeous spot on the planet. The renowned Inca domain constructed a match-picker 80 miles north of its capital, Cusco, in the 15th 100 years, exhibiting its colossal riches and expertise. Pizarro and his men savagely terminated Cusco and executed the ruler. They went after Alpa, and practically the whole Inca human progress was left in ruins, yet the officers never moved toward Machu Picchu, and the city was at that point deserted and neglected. Guides and records protected from the obliteration of the Incas recommended the presence of a city high in the mountains. Many asserted the site was lost or basically made up, yet Bingham walked through the wildernesses and mountains to find out. The world was stunned when adventurers arrived at Machu Picchu in his long term. It was just a wonder match that freely means old mountain, and Bingham saw precisely why. Inquisitively, the few hundred structures in this settlement looked like no other metropolitan format planned by the Incas. Clear divisions isolated groups of stone structures, a large number of which didn't give off an impression of being neighborhoods. After Bingham's revelation game, Picchu immediately set up a good foundation for himself as one of the marvels of the explored parts of the planet. In an effort to determine why the Incas built cities in the mountains, archaeologists continued to flock there. Albeit the quantity of houses shows that around 750 individuals resided there, Matthew chose to commit a whole area to religion. Many destroys and bones around the city show that individuals of Machu Picchu forfeited people, a significant number of them youngsters. The homicide is the second dull mystery concealed inside the city walls. Indeed, the large issue is every one individuals in Matthew who decided to leave. 750 individuals disappeared for the time being, and there was no indication of an assault or cataclysmic event in the city. Many believe that death is the best option given the available options. Europe's contact with the cutting-edge world brought numerous ills. The Incas did not have a vaccine or medicine, so a minor epidemic wiped out Machu Picchu. Matthew's store receives 1.5 million well-meaning customers who come to pick up gifts, but the majority of the damaged items are left behind. Geologist Artad Manigault is one of the experts. He has studied Machu Picchu for years to learn how it came to be. He also does field work at incredible heights to try to get rid of it from the old town apart from the area. More. In this manner, at the yearly gathering of geologists, he introduced his speculations about the amount to pick, who assembled it, and why. What's more, presently these astounding finds are motivating others to check out at the Inca domain with new eyes. Today it is accepted that the paint is utilized in the dry stone cycle to make the city's astonishing stone walls. Well, many people have attempted to respond to these questions. Additionally, he pointed out that the Incas appear to have been accustomed to constructing their cities in inaccessible locations. He didn't have a clue about the stones and piles of the district. This is important for the act of laying out settlements in progressive areas. What sort of information should developers have about rocks and mountains to have the option to assemble urban areas effectively in these circumstances? As per Manigault, the region was additionally neglected by past investigations, which drove him to lead his own land study to choose Mateo. Well before the Incas and the Mayos crossed the Andes, they were shaped by an incredible land disturbance. Manigault then made 4 separate excursions to the locale when he was not in the mountains. He currently uses satellite images and previous geological studies of the region to support his research as he examines data in his university laboratory. At each phase of the exploration, I introduced the outcomes to Peruvian analysts from various fields of information: geography, paleontology, humanities, design, urbanism, scene nature, and epistemology, as well as locales of Peru, to guarantee the exactness of the information. I likewise value the extension and significance of my discoveries to specialists of Andean culture, he told Newsweek. Nonetheless, eventually, a ton of exploration prompted an interesting and astonishing end. Constructed right close to a progression of structural shortcomings, an area that numerous cutting-edge developers would keep away from no matter what, the structure appeared to be a choice. As a matter of fact, there had all the earmarks of being an entire organization of breaks in the world's outside underneath the city. In point of fact, the level of geological activity here is so high that 5 distinct faults join below Machu Picchu to form an eerie X that marks the spot, displacing the notion that this is probably not a coincidence. Masu. All things being equal, he contended that tempestuous geology is an essential piece of the texture of the actual city. As you most likely are aware, many individuals note that all significant designs were worked by the flaws fundamental to the city. Also, amazingly, the Incan mountain strongholds weren't the main settlements constructed along these lines. As a matter of fact, many individuals realized that the Inca had numerous urban communities that appeared to impeccably fit the country. The Atlanta Tambo site is under 20 kilometers from Machu Picchu and is accepted to lie on a structural shortcoming, 50 kilometers east of Pisac. Many say the Incan capital Cusco was worked to look like an issue in the earth underneath the city. Indeed, Manigault doesn't think Inca culture appears to be legit. This ink was abused to dial back city development. Indeed, as indicated by Manigault, individuals of color will generally search out more occupied places than rustic regions. As per the researcher, he realized that messed up rock found at the highest point of structural shortcomings could make great structure materials. However, on flaws the stone falls to pieces. In any case, many sources make sense of that the rock is molded like hexagons and triangles, and that implies the material should be very much made. Regardless of whether the stones are not apparent, their shortcoming makes them simple to cut. In any case, Matt, it was difficult for you to pick this one among the numerous development blunders. This makes ice soften and water to stream into urban communities, making towns gather water. The Andes are a perilous well of lava. Let Newsweek know where individuals reside in little pockets where water is siphoned through veins. Blake is a beginner in observing guidelines, a way of life wherein social connections are made by mix-ups and harm. Going to the water that came from the mountains, then the Incas didn't have to work in the low valleys, accordingly diminishing the gamble of risk from rockfall and flooding. Yet Manigault accepts that the broke stone underneath Machu Picchu had one more reason, while weighty downpour was in some cases an issue. Indeed, even this high up in the Andes, the geography of the district might have given regular waste, thus helped to safeguard the site from flooding. Around 66% of the work to assemble the asylum includes developing subsurface seepage. Manigault made sense of in the plan. Machu Picchu obviously shows us that the Inca development was a realm of broken rocks. Fascinatingly, Manit likewise uncovered that the Incas had their own particular manner of depicting the structural action on which their urban areas were fabricated. But does this imply that Machu Selection's founders were extremely knowledgeable about geology at the time? Despite the fact that they may not have a clue about the reason for the structural issues, Manigault accepts they can pinpoint them. He went on to say that the Incas were able to identify regions with extensive fractures, and that these areas spread over a large area. Amazingly, the Incas built structures that have stood the test of time for over 550 years thanks to their understanding of faults. The remnants are more compromising than any other time in recent memory. In the event that an air terminal were to be constructed only a couple of kilometers away, the middle would carry a risky flood of guests to an overpopulated region. Thanks for watching. If you want to stay updated with our latest videos, subscribing is the way to go. Just click that red button below and become a part of our channel family.